Do you think 100 people could beat a gorilla? The honest truth. I mean, I'm pretty sure they can, but what do they think
So
is the
recently,
truth?
all of social media has been blowing up with the debate of one gorilla versus 100
Yeah, this is the same as 1,000 Pokemon versus a billion lions.
humans. The funny thing is that everyone seems completely
I'll walk away from my homeboy's grave after he gets mauled by the gorilla. Yeah. Trunks.
divided onto who would win the fight. One side thinks that the gorilla would pull a Winston and just completely thrash the army of humans with ease, while the other side believes that the sheer numbers would let the humans just beat up the gorilla like it's Naruto. But who is actually correct? Is a gorilla versus 100 people actually a fair fight, or is it actually a stomp? Does the gorilla win, or do the humans? Let's find out. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's jump right in. Now, to begin, I think it's important to establish both sides of this fight. For the gorilla, we are assuming that this is essentially the strongest gorilla possible. Of the 4 gorilla species, easily the largest and strongest would be a silverback eastern lowland gorilla. At the absolute largest, gorillas can stand at over 6 feet tall and weigh between 400 and 500 pounds, with the largest ever being about
6 feet?
600 pounds or even beyond. However, this fails to capture how a gorilla's overall proportions drastically exceed that of a normal human, with a wingspan of over 8 feet, drastically more muscle mass, and far less body fat. In comparison to the peak gorilla, the group of humans will be made up of 100 average people. There will be no boxers, no
What? A gorilla? The peak gorilla versus average humans? No, that's not how that works. If it's peak gorilla, it's peak humans. That's the same where it's like an average person versus a 300-pound dog. Why are we doing that? The average person would almost never come in contact with a 300-pound dog. 100 people aren't gonna be. If you see the peak gorilla, it's gonna be 100 peak human being. So again, 100 Mike Tysons versus one silverback gorilla. The gorilla loses. Come on, bro.
or
See,
MMA
you
fighters
cherry
or
picking.
athletes, and instead it will just be 100 totally normal people with totally normal physical stats, with there being an equal number of men and women. Now, technically, average height and weight varies
Just the comment saying. The challenge was initially 100 men, not 100 men and women. The challenge was initially 100 black people. There was no white people nor women. That's what I'm saying. Again, when you give an idea to a white person, they fuck up the whole idea. If this was not the original tweet was I think 100 niggas could beat up a gorilla.
somewhat drastically across the planet. So for this video, we'll be taking the stats from just Americans when possible. This means the 50
Not well, there's a chance that for some reason, America is the biggest melting pot. So you just have to assume for some unknown reason we have 10 5-foot white women out of the 100. No, that was not the hypothetical. No.
The men in the group will be
Who
on
is this
average
dude?
5'9"
Just like
and
this
almost
video,
200
bro.
pounds, while
Stop
the
playing with
50
me,
women
nigga.
in the group will be on average 5'4" and 100.
That's what I'm saying. 50 women. Nick, 50 women? That was not the tweet. And if it's 50 women, can we get 50 Serena Williams? Not 50, Megan Foxes? Like, Megan Fox can't do nothing against a gorilla. For real, bro just decided on his own that there would be 50 women and it would be a pit gorilla. It's all good though. He still came to the correct decision. $100 versus an adult pit bull next. Oh, what, bro? Oh my, let's see. I might have Pitbull in 2 times speed since he's on bullshit.
Now, to be fair, Americans are kind of fat, so ultimately using the statistics of a healthier nation doesn't change these values very much or the outcome in my opinion. Still, either way, the gorilla is going to be
Give him 100 African Americans to see what happened. Bro picked the fattest state of all time with the worst average. Bro, just how you know it's late. I'm struggling to see playback speed. It's right above quality. Jeez.
Far larger than any single human, exceeding them in
There
height
you
by
go.
11 inches and being casually twice the weight of the average man. Also, just so we're all on the same page, this is what 100 people looks like. It's definitely not a small group, but it's also not a massive crowd by any means.
You say that until it's 100 LeBron James.
A lot of college lectures have more people than this in them. But that being understood,
Or Steph Curry.
determining the true strength of a gorilla is incredibly difficult for multiple reasons. Firstly, gorillas ultimately are not predatory species, so in comparison to something like a bear, a wolf, or any of the big
They're
cats, they rarely ever go out of their way to attack
vegetarians.
humans. Secondly, unlike for humans that will willingly do experiments to test the limits of human strength, doing the exact same thing is almost impossible for gorillas because they're not just going to do a bench press for a couple of bananas, unfortunately. This forces most, if any, estimations of gorilla strength to be just that, estimations based off of their bodies and the very rare instances of strength that we have seen from them. Thirdly, there is a lot of hearsay and misinformation regarding gorillas, with most online sources claiming completely different stats for what gorillas are actually capable of. Finally, a lot of info about gorillas that does exist is oftentimes really old. The biggest issue, though, is that inconsistent information. For example, one website says they can lift 1,800 pounds, while another claims they can lift more than twice that at 4,000 pounds. Things get even more wild when these resources put it in terms of humans. Some claim that a gorilla is 8 times stronger than an average man. Another claims that they are 4 to 10 times stronger than a human. Another source claims 12 times, with another claiming that gorillas are a whopping 20 times stronger than a human. Clearly, the only consistent
Who are
thing
these
we see on here is that gorillas
sources?
are stronger than humans, but this much variation in number between sources is enough to say that these numbers are completely made up or very
Exactly.
unsubstantiated. So let's look to what actual researchers have said about gorillas, or what we've
Okay.
actually seen them do in real life. Consistently, gorillas have been seen uprooting thin banana trees, shattering protective glass, and have broken human arms in brief attacks. Smaller and weaker primates like chimpanzees have shown feats of strength 2 to 3 times stronger than that of a normal human, around 800 to 1,200
2 to
pounds. Given that
3.
chimps are less than a quarter of the weight of a gorilla, suddenly the 4,000-pound claims look slightly more valid and would approximately make them 8 to 10 times stronger than a human being lifting-wise, though strength and weight don't exactly work like that in a 1-to-1 ratio, clearly. Looking back to older
Exactly.
information, the statements get harder to verify, but could also be potentially more legitimate, as these were real interactions in the wild. We have accounts from 19th century explorer Paul Chalu recounting gorillas snapping and bending metal guns with their bare hands, or even an older account from explorer Andrew Patel
I believe
recounts
that.
10 people were unable to pin a gorilla down. Finally, we have more speculative
10
calculations
people?
around things like gorilla bite force and punching strength, which is incredibly difficult.
They said 10 people. Wait. 10 people in what century?
We have accounts from 19th century explorer Paul Chalu recounting gorillas snapping and bending metal guns with their bare hands, or even an older account from explorer Andrew Patel that recounts that 10 people were unable to.
So 200 years ago, they said 10 people couldn't put down a gorilla. Also, 100, 200 years ago, we didn't have Shaquille O'Neal's and Zion's. You get 5 Zions and 5 Shaqs, they pin a gorilla down, undoubtedly. Come on, bro. They're pinning them down. Come on. You get 10 Steven Adams that could pick up 300-pound 7-footers, bruh.
To pin a gorilla down.
What are
Finally,
you
we have more
talking
speculative
about?
calculations around things like gorilla bite
They
force
didn't
and
have
punching
a
strength, which is
LeBron.
incredibly difficult to calculate without, having the gorilla punch something that actually measures the force. Still, even the most lowball calculations put the gorilla strength at around 881 joules of force, with the highest being 3,660 joules of force.
What
In
does that
comparison, humans
mean?
output only about 74 joules with their punches, which would make the potential difference in punch power anywhere from around 10 to 50 times. I don't think really speed is something we really need to talk about here. It isn't like other power scaling topics where either side is a blitz difference faster than the other or anything like that. Gorillas and humans are simply comparable in overall speed, with the gorilla being a bit faster in bursts of muscular power, though such speeds aren't exactly sustainable. So overall, gorillas are stronger, larger, heavier, and more powerful than multiple humans combined. Either way, though, are the humans cooked? Let's get into it. Now, in a 1v1, 2v1,
No, they're
or even
not.
10v1, I think the gorilla could pretty easily take it. From everything we've seen, from historical accounts to estimations, a gorilla may legitimately be around 10 times the strength of average humans, making all of these random articles potentially correct even if they were just yapping. Single strikes and bites from a gorilla is going to be breaking bones of whoever is unlucky enough to be in range. As they tend to do, they can also easily grab, lift, and pull around any human they manage to grab. Furthermore, most attacks from a human are simply not going to legitimately harm a gorilla. The difference in the basic lifting and punching power being so immense that the person punching the gorilla would probably hurt their hands more than the gorilla's body. But as the number of humans increases towards 100, things get worse and worse for the gorilla for multiple reasons. Firstly, fatigue. Gorillas are not used to, nor are they really built for
Exactly.
long
They don't
fights.
have
Most
that
conflicts
dog
between
in
gorillas
them.
only last a couple minutes at most, which is actually true for most humans as well. But while the gorilla might
So
tear
Spark Notes is 100 humans beat the gorilla because they don't have that dog in them, bro. They need a Red Bull.
20, 30, 40 people, boom, there are still 60 humans.
My
that the gorilla
soldier's
has to beat in order
rage.
to win. Secondly, in this fight, strategy and coordination genuinely matter. For this fight to even
Yeah.
happen, we kind of need to ignore the concept of fear for both sides. If a gorilla saw a group of 100 humans, they are very likely not going to attack and
Exactly.
On the other side, if most people saw a gorilla beating up a dude, they're not going to jump in and help out. They are also
Exactly.
running away. With that being said, if both sides legitimately want to beat the other with full conviction and no other options, 100 people can pretty quickly coordinate to absolutely bum rush on the gorilla, who simply would not be able to attack every person at once, even 20 people at once. Which brings up the third thing. Weight. For as strong as a gorilla is, especially a potentially tired gorilla, is simply not strong enough to hold off the weight of a coordinated group of humans. At the mid-end estimation of 1,800 pounds, even just 20, 200-pound humans would be able to pin down a gorilla. With the only claim to the contrary being from a guy born in the 1500s. Would people get hurt and probably be killed in this effort?
Oh,
to
the
pin down?
1500s? Oh, God, there wasn't no LeBron James in the 1500s. Or granted, 2,000 people to that strength. Like, there's no way. There's no way. There's random people lifting up 400 pounds. They didn't have no Joey Swoles back then. They didn't have 2,000 Joey Swoles. They had no YNs. They ain't no yerks.
But again, there are 50 dudes all
They
free
was
to do this, let alone
amputating
50 women.
people.
But pinning isn't enough. The gorilla would need to be defeated, and even without tools, humans should be able to actually hurt gorillas. While human punches are far weaker than the apes, human kicks are overall far stronger. It can range from over 3,000 to over 4,000 joules, which is actually stronger than gorilla punches from a pure energy output standpoint, as crazy as that sounds. So while yes,
Exactly.
one guy randomly kicking a gorilla would probably do nothing, several dozen people all kicking at a gorilla's head while he's already pinned down would eventually take him out. So yes, 100 humans could be a gorilla. If gorillas were truly a threat to literally 100 humans at a time, there would be far more stories of gorillas actually, killing humans, while we have stories like this for elephants or bears. So bottom line is this, humans most likely win, but you don't want to be at the front of the crowd when you're staring down a silverback. Made it this far, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah. Okay. So at least you still understand the 100 humans win, but him one being average human and then being like 50% women, half women, half men, average. Like now I think we need to do the power scaling. Does 100 women, average women, beat a gorilla? Because now I'm curious. Probably. I don't know. I don't know. That's a valid question. Probably though. Look, there's two of us. Only one of him. The gorilla needs to win 100 times. We only need to win once. Exactly. 2-0 taught me how humans make up for lack of strength by having bodies that can balance upright. This is what allows accurate throwing punches, etc. Everyone thinks the gorilla is gonna fight like Donkey Kong, but they physically can't do that. Even against each other, they kind of just flow around. Counterpoint: a run of sway swing is unpredictable. A run of sway movement from a gorilla, it's like yeah. That's why you delete. That's why you tire out. Excuse me, that was a big fart. No cap. The real calculations you need is not for the gorilla, but what 100 people can do. History proof. Yeah, they already said the fear factor. Quantity versus quality ad matchup. That gorilla would have his eyes gouged out in the first few moments of that, even as he's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like coordinated attack. If you made it like a realistic and it's like the peak human bronze. What is it called? Bronze and brain. 100 humans. Yeah, I think the average humans too. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it honestly doesn't even matter the gender for sure, because at that point you just poke their eyes out and twist their balls, and the gorilla's probably dead. And there's nothing you can do. You can't stop 100 people from stopping you from doing that. Like real talk. So yeah, the gorilla was cooked from the get go. Because if that was specifically gonna happen. But if there's no ball kicking, no low blows, but at the same time the gorilla could grab one person and like, whoom. But the real question is how much stamina does the gorilla have to where it could just like swing and just like wipe out you. So I mean, at that point, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, the gorilla's cooked. Now, if you just assume the gorilla is like, yeah, I don't think the gorilla has the stamina to beat 100 people. I think if it was like 15-year-olds, maybe that might be the gorilla might win. The peak gorilla silverback might win because like even like a LeBron or Shaq at 15, like I don't know, or Victor Wembanyama, none of those people are like physically inclined. You might be able to get it, but I think that's the only way you get it. It's like they're not adult humans; they're like children. But 100 adult humans, or if they're like 100 adult humans that are like during Ramadan, maybe then that might be the better question. How much do you have to nerf the humans, without it being like outright like you know children? Like 100 of any race, ethnicity would win. Any gender, that would win. Any sexuality would win. Like you'd have to go to, I feel like, disabled people or like children. That'd be the only way the gorilla wins against 100 people. Like 100 senior citizens. I think it would be. But who is this dude? What does he do? But yeah, is this debate? I think this debate's only fun though when you don't know, cause it's just like the Pokemon. Like 1,000 Pokemon isn't a lot compared to 1 billion lions. But once you realize there's like at least like 50 Pokemon that are like God level, not including the God one, the time one, the space one, the nature one. It's probably like 10 space ones, like one that created space, one that's an alien in space, one that has black holes, one that can time travel. You feel me? The one that controls all the water in the world, or just water in general. The one that controls all the lava. The Pokemons that are like 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Like the billion lions still lose, even if you like give them Pokemon rule sets and you get 10 PPs for like the strong moves. But yeah, yeah. This is funny though. I'm surprised it's lasted like a week though. Y'all let me know what is the next one. What's the next one? Where do we go from here? Is it how many brownies does it take to defeat LeBron? I don't know, bro. If the humans win, then I'm just gonna forget what happened. Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Pootank, please Pooting. Yeah, I'm out. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 200 subscribers, 300 followers on TikTok, and no, 300 followers on Twitch, 1,200 on TikTok. Oh, yeah. Let's see what the next one is. Probably won't be a next one. We'll probably have another Ashton Hall or band director being jugged.